3rd, I believe this is how I teach. We have the lovely Leanne Shafer going to be giving you some insight on her BPS program and all the problem-solving activities that she has for her students in there. And then in a little bit, oh, Dr. Yo is here. He was coming in from another session that we were having in another part of the campus. So, and then Dr. Yo will be talking about his mathematics courses and the problem solving involved in that. So we thank you so much for joining us today, and please, Leanne, take it away.
All right, thank you. Thanks a lot for inviting me. I would never imagine that I would be involved with something like this at my age, but I really learned a lot in the online course development program, and I'm glad to have the chance to share a little bit more about my course. I work with adult learners here at USI, and some of you heard me talk about this a little bit more, what my role is, but I work with adult learners that are seeking the Bachelor of Professional Studies program. And the typical profile for a student like this is someone who is maybe, 30-ish, something past 25, has gone away from the traditional college experience, probably has some significant work experience, career experience, and yet has not completed a bachelor's degree. And there are, last time anybody counted very much, there are nearly 1 million people in Indiana that have some college and no degree. So it's a large population, and a lot of them find their way to USI and into the Bachelor of Professional Studies program. One of the first courses that I developed specifically for these students was called Personal and Professional Development. It used to be called BGS 498, now it's PRFS 498. And so if I mess up and say BGS, please just remember that we just recently changed our name and the prefix for our courses. But the course was sort of modeled after a program that I worked in prior to coming to USI called the Bachelor's in Management of Organizational Leadership, or something like that, at Oakland City University. And it was, again, focused on adult learners that they actually worked on an applied research project for the full year that they were in their academic programs, an accelerated format, also a degree completion program. But I got the idea of using an applied research project as a course from the program at Oakland City University. Most of the course activities focus around something called an applied research project. And that research project is very carefully defined as we develop it, and it's very individualized. So the student will, again, they can't even get into class unless they're working full-time in a career setting. So somebody who's flipping hamburgers or working at the bowling alley is not a candidate for my courses anyway. But these are folks, again, that are working in a career setting, working for an organization, and they have something invested in that organization. So we asked them, as part of their assignments, to identify a problem within that organization, and we spend a lot of time framing that problem, or looking at ways that we can actually state that problem, and we also have to find something that's appropriate for the class. So I wanted to just share a little bit about how I do that. The first couple weeks that we are together in our class, I asked the students to create a professional portfolio. So I have learned a lot about them. That portfolio includes obviously an updated resume. It includes any collection of professional training that they have done, including military training or anything on the job that they have done. I asked them to write an autobiography about their learning experiences since high school graduation. And then they saved some space for some writing samples and some other things. So they really end up with a nice portfolio. And thanks to Laura Cole, I learned how to put that online this year. They used to bring me just a great big ring binder with all kinds of documents copied and inserted into a ring binder, and now we have that online. So that's kind of exciting. So I know a lot about them already by the time we get in this far into it. But what I basically ask students to do is and it's actually going on right now, this particular week is what they're doing, is in about the third module, we start to frame a problem. So in module 3, we talked about ARP, Applied Research Project, and then the topic development. So let me get into that just a little bit more. First of all, I am looking for a special kind of problem that students might identify within the organization. And over the years of teaching this class, I know that these students need a step-by-step set of instructions. So what I try to do is give them a starting point that's very general. And it includes, it's called a problem identification. And I know you can't read this, but I'm just gonna pull this up. It's a very much a step-by-step. Thank you. It's a very much a step-by-step where I simply ask several guided questions. We talk about how this is a major undertaking that engages students in a real problem within his or her employment setting. And I feel like it's very important to choose and define the problem that will be discussed and addressed. The idea, I kind of come from a simplex problem-solving model, which means you sort of diverge and you sort of look at everything and then you start to see what comes together or what you can narrow down your focus and work with. So the purpose of this one assignment, this problem identification assignment, is to cast around and look for some possibilities. And most of the time, if you've been working for somebody for 10 years, you know where the problems are. You're going to have some things that rub you the wrong way, or consistently annoying, or consistently, missing the mark. So I just give them a series of questions, and those questions are just, as I said, they're very general. So I ask them just to pick 5. I know that not every person is going to relate to every single question, but I just slung them out there and said, pick 5 of these, pick them up, and write me a paragraph, so that I can learn a little bit more about the things that you're looking at, so that we can start to narrow that focus. So the questions include things like what minor problems in your department could possibly grow into big ones? How could the quality of your company's service or products be improved? So what, are you missing an opportunity to improve something? What unit goals are missed? So you see that if there's a goal out there that they're falling short. So that's what I'm looking for, is something where the organization is falling short in some way. Then I ask about things like what external pressures or problems do you anticipate in your industry? In other words, an external problem might be, hey, they're going to build a super highway down through the middle of our parking lot, or the airport is annexing our property, or the government is creating a lot of taxes or other regulations that are going to be a problem for our industry, something like that. So there's external issues that might be something that the student might want to look at. We ask about technology. We ask about anything that keeps the department from reaching its goals. So again, I'm just casting around what red tape or wasteful practices are there. So I'm asking the students to be observant, to look around, and to start putting some of these feelings or these thoughts and these observations into some sentences and some paragraphs. From there, they submit that as a Word document, and I ask them to just pick 5 of these questions and answer them. And that starts a conversation that we will have individually with the student about what their topic will be. From there, they also listen to a 27-minute lecture, which is my longest lecture in my class, my voice thread lecture. And I really do feel like the time spent in framing a problem is extremely important for their success. And I don't know how many, I know I've supervised over 200 projects as far as in my work with students, typically at very small classes. But then what I'm really looking for is a topic or problem that they can investigate that has 7 characteristics. And that includes something that's real, not something that's imagined or something that's, out there. It has to be something real and concrete that they can observe, that's right there, and it's something that they can interact with. It also needs to be something current, not something that happened in the past or something that might happen next year. It needs to be something that's impacting the organization at the moment. It also needs to be significant, and we really, really look at that significance in a specific way. I've gotten so that I'll tell a student that this problem that you choose, it needs to be bigger than your desk. In other words, it needs to be more than just about you, and it needs to be smaller than world peace. So that you can see that it needs to be something that's going to impact the organization, or something that's part of the organization's operations or their mission or something like that. So we're really looking at something that's significant. And the other reason that I think that we talk about significance is that this course and these folks really are in college to expand their career opportunities. So why not spend their research time, their school time, their writing time, their communications time, their critical thinking time on something in their life that matters to them, and that would be their career. So I feel like my goal, even if it's sometimes difficult to say it directly, is to help them see how they can bring this problem-solving process into their workplace over and over again. So when you see that they can frame something appropriately, do some research, propose a solution, and understand all that that involves, then they can do that over and over again. So I'm hoping that they begin to see themselves as problem solvers within their organization. That's another reason I think significance is worth talking about. So that's three: real, current, and significant. Also, this is a problem that must be resolved through change. In other words, we have to look at some way that the organization can change in order to resolve this problem. Again, if it's something like, hey, the price of tea in China, and it's not really related to the organization, it might still be a problem, it might be current, it might be significant, but it's not something the organization can do anything about. Then we need to throw it out. We need to see something where the organization can change in some way and resolve and improve the situation. So that's four. The other one is that it involves multiple stakeholders. That might be individuals, that might be departments, might be stockholders, whatever, the world at large in terms of marketing and finding new customers. But it needs to have multiple stakeholders at different levels. And the reason for that is when you start to propose a change, you're definitely you're going to want extra people involved with resolving that. Again, not just something that you can do here on your computer at your desk to change and improve a situation, but something that will involve other people, that other people have to get on board to make a difference in the situation. The other criteria that I asked for when we're looking at framing the problem are that it's possible to research. And what I have found over the years working here at USI is that our reference librarians are so fabulous because we can throw anything at them that maybe you wouldn't think of that has there's any published material on or that is relevant to any subject that's taught here at USI, and they will help us find research materials that are library-based research materials. So they love that challenge, and they've been very helpful to me individually, with students. I have given, I've sent the topic proposal over to Phil Orr, and he'll come back with a list of things that the students should look for. We also put Phil's, information on the website and encourage students to have a relationship with him and contact him. So it needs to be possible to research, and there's lots of ways to research, not just sitting around in your break room, griping about a situation. That is not research. 4 Google sites is not research. So it has some very, very specific requirements for students to create a research plan, to look through the library, look through publications of all kinds. It goes beyond academic resources, though. I asked them to look into the company resources, what might be published within their organization or within their industry. So we have a really wide net as far as what's possible for research. And then the other part of it is it needs to be a reasonable time frame for us to at least get most of the way through the process by the time the term ends. And what I mean by that is that we at least have to have a solution proposed and then some kind of idea about the implementation and planning of that solution. We don't have to carry the solution out. I don't require that students actually solve this problem because the assumption would be that they have the power to do that, or they have the funding, or whatever resources that they have. I wouldn't assume that. But what I do insist that they do is prepare an individual presentation that is an oral presentation as well as a written report that would probably suffice to hand to a manager or a board of directors or whatever decision-making body would be appropriate, that they would hand that to them and move forward with solving problems. So I do ask them to do that, even if they never implement it. I feel like they come away then with the opportunity to, again, frame a problem, to define it well, to learn, to decide and to determine the best ways of researching it, and then finding ways to be persuasive in proposing the solution. So that's that's kind of like big organizational problem solving, and that's what I really hope to convey to my students. They go through the step by step. There's 7 parts to the actual written report. It starts with an introduction. It begins with the problem statement. I asked them to write a whole chapter, a couple of pages, on describing the organization and its mission. Then we do a problem analysis. We do a research summary of what kind of research they found and digested, and then they propose alternatives and again suggest how they might be implemented, how those alternative courses of action might be implemented, and then they do a summary of conclusions and submit a bibliography. I also asked them to do something called a reflections at the end to just sort of sit back and say, what was this like? And I love reading those as to what they learned, what they struggled with, what their experience was like. And I feel like that's a very, very big part of adult learning, is to allow them to jump in, to do something, and then sit back and reflect on it, so that they're able to take it forward and be better learners and be, have those career opportunities as they
Any other more questions?
No. I think you're at the end. And I'd be glad to, I got this paper, I'd be glad to share this if you'd like it.
Oh, I typed them all.
You typed them all in,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, the red tape was the last one. And then the other thing I've got here is, this is not me. This is something else. Did I just, I just took my class off. I just closed my class out, never mind. So I have the problem identification, and then I have the topic proposal guidelines, and that is very much a part of where we are right now. What questions, what other things do you have? Anything else?
I thought that this has applicability not just in classes, but in other situations as well.
Absolutely.
And I really like the idea that the students are having to think about what are the problems, what are causes of the problems, what are possible solutions. I mean, it's not an academic exercise in which has no relationship to their reality.
Exactly. And it is very much that. And it's funny because some students, they just want to just touch their toe into that, and they really would rather stay out there in the generalities and the abstract concepts and things like that. And others, really, because they're swimming in this environment, they're swimming alongside these problems, they really want to jump in. So it's an interesting and wide range, as you have in your classes. You have a wide range of people that are engaged in different levels.
You said that you use your lecture, 20-minute lecture,
27
on,
minutes.
on VoiceThread.
Mhm.
Why do you use VoiceThread? Unless it's interactive, and I didn't understand it was interactive.
Mhm.
Why do you use VoiceThread instead of just uploading it to something like YouTube or something like that?
Well, I do have slides, and I found, and I'm very new with VoiceThread. I really worked hard at it last fall, and I'm probably a beginner with it, but I feel like for me, that was a good way to walk through my slides, highlight some things, and just kind of be an animated lecture, kind of an
So
animated
it's
illustrated
live?
lecture. No, it's a VoiceThread. I mean, it's just
Okay.
click and
So what's the advantage then of using VoiceThread over something else?
that I'm really not sure, except that's what I learned how to do.
If I could answer that,
Yeah, please.
VoiceThread, one of the reasons why I use VoiceThread instead of Panopto is because VoiceThread is much easier to edit, so that each individual slide is recorded individually. So if I want to go back and change that next semester or next year or next week, I can go in and fix that one slide and simply have that change. But if I've done Panopto, I know you can edit Panopto, but it's a lot more technical than what I'm willing to do.
Mhm.
So that's to me the big advantage
So
of
it's easier.
VoiceThread. Yeah, and the students can actually post questions to VoiceThread, which I don't think they can do to Panopto.
And did they do that during your lecture?
This is my first year. I mean, this is the first
Oh,
time
so,
I've really
I mean,
run this out.
did they
Yes.
post questions?
They can, yes, they
Okay.
can.
Did they?
Mhm. No, because they haven't listened to this lecture yet. I think it's this week.
Oh, okay.
So I could go back and look. I don't know.
Okay.
There's one now that's kind of ahead of herself. Anything else? All right, so I really have learned a lot through the online course development program. And as I said, what was sort of discussed and then decided on was that I would use the VoiceThread And because I feel like PowerPoint is a good medium for me as well, I just kind of married together. And again, the editing issues were a lot easier to manage as well. So it's interesting, I think, that Ashley decided that we should be together, that I should be with a math professor, because again, the kind of problems that we're solving are are so different in my mind. Really are much more, I would call it heuristic, as far as what I'm asking students to do is to be much more observant about the whole landscape and the whole environment, rather than just narrowing down one focused issue. And also to know that there are multiple answers for the problems that they are looking at, and that they, like in the real world, they don't even have the definition of the problem unless they start to work on that. In other words, I'm not just giving them this and saying, here, solve this problem. They have to decide what the problem is. And I think that, again, is a lot more real world in some ways. So you got to kind of look at that first and then decide, what math equations you use. I don't know. I think it's funny that we're together, so that's all. All right. That's all I have. And this is cute, actually, to log in to your
What's your course?
It's called Professional Studies. It's called Personal and Professional Development, PRFS 498.
PRFS.
PRFS 498. While they're getting that set up, I would also just say, one of the things I really fuss at my students about is that they start off their definition of their problem by saying, thank you, that I don't have something. The problem is that I don't have something. Man, I'd have to steer them away from that. I'll say, I don't have a Lamborghini. That's a problem. So I really try to help them focus on the mission and the purpose of their organization and where they're maybe falling short in some way. At the end of their summary and their conclusions, they have to draw their proposed solution back to the mission and purpose of their organization. So it's a tendency, but we try to avoid it.
Okay, I'm Dr. Sang-Woo Ho in mathematics, and it's me. So one thing as you see that I sit in my office and open up my tablet. That's how I look like. It's different from me. I'm not this anyway. So I haven't taught this course online yet. So my talk is more about designing course. My audience, my students are totally different group than most of you deal with. This is course for the mathematics teachers. So it's a graduate course for math teachers. And the Math 611 is the introduction to analysis for the secondary teachers. So when you say analysis, what is analysis? So as the word said, analysis. So you analyze. Actually, the origin of this subject is in Greek, long time ago, before Euclid. They tried to measure the area of a circle. So what they did was, they didn't have a number pi, 3.14. So how we measure the area of circle? So what they did was they break down the circle as a size of different polygons. So you know that if you have a circle, you can make a square inside. So you can measure area of a square. But you know that circle inside, square inside of circle, it's not circle. So start with the square and polygon, the hexagon, octagon, and 12 side. And so they make a circle as a different size of a polygon. So each polygon is a triangle. So you can measure a triangle. So by adding up, they measure this area of circle. So they use the number 22/7. So the long time ago, pi, before they made the number pi, they used a 22/7 as a pi. So 22/7 is 3.14. It's very close. So my audience for this course is a teacher who want to teach CAT course, and a lot of them gonna teach AP calculus. So this course is the basis of the AP calculus. So then, when I designed the course, I tried to provide face-to-face lecture into online course as close as I want. So I searched other online courses. The most popular one is the MIT has now all the courses the MIT has all the courses on online for free. So what they did was the professor actually do the lecture. They tape the lecture and that's YouTube. So if you wanna watch, so it's a 50-minute lecture, so 50-minute video tape. So that's, and if you look at the Khan Academy, you heard the Khan Academy.
Yes.
So what they do is that they use a blank board, and then you don't see their face. You only see their marker. Go through. So while they're talking, they use a marker and then they present it. I could do that, but it's a time consuming. Then and when I make a mistake, I have to re-edit. So it's a pain in the neck. So what I did was, as you already heard that. So here I made it click here for for the section 2.1. Then we want to see the void thread. So here is my lecture.
Chapter 2, the real numbers. Section 2.
Right. So I have all my lecture in typed note. So I put my voice over it. So if they hate my voice, they can mute it and then they can. So anyway, all the lecture, it's not line by line copy from textbook. So I edit so that it fit it into our students. Because some material is too difficult for students, some material is too easy, or sometimes I found the other textbook has a better material in it, so I modified the lecture. So I have 14 weeks of those lectures. So the object, what they have to do is they watch it or they learn it and do the weekly homework. It's not other English or sociology, or it's not discussion. It's the more or less, here is a problem, you do it. Okay, and then when they do it, all the answer is in the note. But it's not line by line copy. They cannot get the right answer just copying it. But if they understand the material, the answer is there. So I try to train the students, analyze the material into the assignment. So quite difficult in that sense. When I do face-to-face, okay, here is problem, let's do it. So they can talk, but it's just pencil and paper. So when they do homework, they send it back, I grade it, return it, so it's going back and forth. And in writing a paper, I could write a paper, but the reality is, my first paper was my doctoral dissertation, is my first paper in whole my life. Do you know what I'm talking about? In mathematic-wise. Until you actually, doctoral dissertation is my first paper. Before then, they are all homework. Professor, do this, do that, go home and solve it, return it, grade it, coming back. So until I wrote my doctoral dissertation, I never wrote a paper. So in that level, writing a paper is, I know how good they are. I don't think the material in even though it's a graduate course material, it's still 18th century, maybe early 19th century mathematics. So they don't have ability to write a paper in that mathematical sense. So most of students have to do is so you see here there are about 100. Actually there are 200 something pages. So it's basically whole textbook is in that board. So each week, so they have to do watch lectures. So end of lecture there is a assignment. So when they do assignment, you're gonna hate this assignment. So All they have to do is print out. I already provide the space. So after they finish work and then they scan it and then email back and then I can grade and then send it back. So they all show that, prove that. Right? So it's quite different from that. Let's talk about it. No, it's not. It's like they have to do it. So by doing this work, I hope they learn. You know what I mean? They do understand. So they have to know these notations, what that notation means, and that's why the lecture is
How frequently do they do homework?
weekly,
Okay, so once a week?
once a week.
And do they have a larger exam? So is the homework a prep for a larger exam?
Yes.
Okay.
There were two. The reality is this. It's our secret. They can find the answer online. I mean, now if they all the science book now, student can get solution book. You know, they can buy like $50. They can find all the solutions. So if they want, they can copy from the solution. So I in order to separate people actually doing work or not, I have a face-to-face test using testing center. They can come to website or they can use a local testing center. So they have to do test twice, middle term and final. So who are doing homework their own, it will be easy test. But if they are not doing their work by themselves, it will be difficult. But as I said, it's a voice thread, so they can make a comment or they can send me email, then I will respond. Usually, I know that they're not gonna talk to each other, so usually the way I learn math is my professor give me some project and go home and sit down and then do the work. You know, if I have a question, I ask the professor. So I provide all the discussion boards, so weekly discussion board. If whoever wants to talk about it, they can post that. Or they don't want to talk about it publicly, then they can send me an email so I can correspond to the email. So that in that sense, it's quite different. So, but that's actually my face-to-face students do the same way. They come to lecture and they learn it and go home and do work and return it. So then what the advantage of online courses? They are all teachers. We have the graduate course is a 3-hour once a week. We meet at night, so you know the teachers. I mean, they have a long day and coming at night, so having 3-hour lecture and then go home. I see that after a couple hours later that I can see students they are really tired. You know what I mean? So good, they had a whole work. Then this one is relatively they can break down into lectures. You don't have to listen all 3 hours. Even as you said, voice thread is good. I recorded each page separately, so if they want to stop in the middle, they can stop and come back to the page. Like YouTube, if I lecture 50 minutes, then you have to search all that. But this voice thread in that sense, good is this one has usually lecture has about 10 to 15 slides. So if they are in the 7th slide, they are tired, they can stop and come back, and they can go from there too. So there is a flexibility. So instead of having 3-hour lecture, they can break the lecture into different hours whenever they can find the, and then the homework is already there, so they know what to expect from the lecture. So that's my design. Hopefully it works. But I don't have any, we don't have any experimentation so that, or any data, so I don't know how good. So last fall, actually, I taught this course in face-to-face. I asked, how do you like it? I mean, they said, well, having a backup, that's good, but they rather have a face-to-face lecture. That's what they said. But we did an alumni survey. And the survey says they wish they have an online course. So there is a mix. So some students love to have face-to-face so that they want to finish the material in 3 hours, so when they go home, they feel comfortable. So there are some students like that. But on the other, there are students who want more flexibility on that. So we have two mixed response from former students. One have an online course, some don't. So I don't know.
Do any of them have a problem in terms of scanning the homework in and sending it back to you? Well, you don't know yet, so.
Well, if they, the part of reason when I didn't show the syllabus, the syllabus requirement is you have to have a scanning machine and print.
You,
That's a-
so you accept a photo taken with a phone?
I could, but if they write it here, yeah, why not? It's the same thing.
Okay.
But the testing center requirement is if you want to go testing center, the test center has to have a fax and scanning machine. Means that when I bring my test into this testing center, then they scan and send it to the proctor in that other testing center. So they have to print, and then when students finish it, they scan it and send it back here. So and all the teachers have to scan it at school. So I don't think they're going to have any problem. Yes.
How available do you intend to make yourself, like office hours for these students?
Usually, we are in 21st century. I might open 24/7. So let's see how late I respond my student yesterday. Last night, my last email I respond my student was 9:30 last night. So usually what I do is my phone is a block mode after 11. So after 11 p.m. my phone is not ringing until 7ish in the morning. So my student knows that they will get the answer, usually a couple of hours. But if they send email at night, then they know they're gonna get the email back in the morning. But at night, if I'm bored, then I just.
And what I was thinking about, for example, you're doing the homework
Yeah.
and you just don't get it,
Yes. Yeah.
and so they want to talk to you.
Mhm.
And I don't mean, like at night, but I mean during the day, would they have access to come to your office and talk to you?
Sure. Right, but but they are teachers, so they don't come during the day. I know.
Okay.
So they want to send me email. So
Mhm.
my previous experience was that a lot of them, because we only meet once a week, so during the day they scan their work. Hey, I got this far, and I got stuck. Any suggestions? So they, as you said, they take a picture or scan and send it back. Then I go from there.
Mhm.
So it's not online course, but we've been doing that communication through years. So I don't think it's very new. Okay.
Yeah, I just remember a long time ago when I did a distance course,
Mhm.
the one thing the students complained about was they felt like they were separated from the classroom experience, and they missed the face to face. So I sent them a video of my class, so they could look at the other people,
But
and that made them
yeah.
miss it more.
But at the end, they are different than English or sociology or liberal arts classes. Our case, face to face means deliver the lecture and do the homework.
Mhm.
So the personal interaction part is missing, but that's the irony of online course, I guess. Even if you do you do the Zoom and then okay, my office hour is 5 p.m. So I'll open up my Zoom. I know one of my colleagues did that. She opened the Zoom every 5 in the afternoon, and then wait for 10 minutes. Nobody shows up. Office hour is that. That's the policy, because you cannot wait all day. So, but is it any better? Yeah, it's better than nothing. But in my case is, I respond email very quickly, so you don't
You
go
know your
anywhere.
audience, and you know that if you're going to teach this course, then it's going to have to be, that's when you have to be available to your students.
Right. So that every time you write a syllabus on online course, you specify what is your communication strategies, how you want to do it. You have to specify. But I haven't taught the course yet, so I don't know what's coming. But if I record my other, even the face-to-face class, we only meet once a week, right? Graduate course, 3 hours. So during the weekdays, that's how we communicate. They send me email, they scan it, and or take a picture. And usually, in classroom, I allow students. Still, we are only, I think, department in US I use a blackboard and chalk. You might not see it, but here, why so we still use a chalk on the board. Even 21st century, we still do that. And then I let them take a picture on my board. So they have a different learning style than when we were students. So I asked them to listen, just watch it, and then once the one board is over, then if you want to take it, take a picture. Then so that's the alternative I use in classroom. And using the board thread, actually, I try to make that my board into that board thread, so that instead of using blank paper, I typed that all in. So actually, what I'm saying is more or less what's in type. So if they don't want to listen, they can read. I mean, there are some students. When I was students, my professor was, okay, here is thing you have to do for this section, and then you go home. So we go home and read our own way, and then to finish the work. So just give them enough time to think about it. It's quite different, isn't it? So I usually say to my students, go home and suffer for a while. don't just send me email. Okay, I don't get this. So why don't you think for a while? You know what I mean? I don't know if they do it or not, but so that's how I design my course. I don't know if there is the as you saw here.
Chapter 2.
So if I go back, you see that here each chapter, each section, I don't know how many of them. So they all this one has, so you might ask what's the merit of this
Chapter
void
3.
thread is each page. That one is what's that? I don't see here. It's a 1 minute 26 seconds. So some slide, because I talk more. Some slide this one is 1 minute 26
Sequences
seconds.
are often defined.
So they have to listen to my accent too, but so basically it has all this. Not only that it has a solution as well. So if to prove any, so when I wrote this, I tried to write as detailed as possible so that student actually in their classroom. But the typesetting is much better than my handwriting. And I thought about using PowerPoint, because PowerPoint you can put one line at a time. Mathematical notation is awful, and it's too difficult to do that. So we use different software to write all these math fonts.
Because you have all the different symbols.
Yeah, all the symbols, and if I want to use a Microsoft Word, then PowerPoint is too much. But if I have graduate students, like other big universities, I can use them as my slave to do it. I mean, I was. Don't you remember when you were graduate students? You were like kind of pseudo slave, was it? Anyway, so. Okay, so any question, any other? And it was fun. So that's why I'm doing another one right now. I'm developing another course for it's coming here. So that's another, I try to develop another course. Time will tell how successful we are. We have math has a math 111, so college algebra, and math 104 and 215. The 100 level math is already online, because that all the textbook come with the don't have to actually design the course. You just pick the materials the textbook provided. Their one is much better because they have millions of dollars to develop the course, to sell the book. But low level is very standard. No matter who teaches where is in US, that's very standard material, so they can just pick the topics and sections and assignment they can do it. But the upper level math course is little you have to customize depending on who are my students and so forth. Okay. I'll let you know a couple of years later what's happened. Today I went to workshop. I heard that some other universities that we are developing course by one person each, but they cooperate. Several people develop one course as a one. So if I had my colleague who want to do together, then who has a less accent, I make them take it. So I provide all the notes. So there are some people who design a course by different module, and then each person has different roles of developing a course. So that's why.
So they're using more of a team approach?
Yes. So you have less work to do it, and whoever do better one, pick a better job for the course. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everybody for coming today.